Penny Stock Billionaires, we got a special episode for you today. We're going to be looking at, one of the most pumped up stocks in Canada. All these things coming out of the Canadian Scam Exchange, a.k.a. the Canadian Stock Exchange. 90% of these things are fugazi. Now, how do I know? Because I've worked with many of them. I've helped create many stocks that became 10 baggers or more. I've learned a thing or two, and I've actually written this book, 10 Bagger Blueprint, okay, which gives you all my secrets, okay, for analyzing these stocks so that you make money and you don't get ripped off. This Aduro, ADURO, is, I believe it's a fugazi stock. This is funny because this in the book, I actually describe how do you analyze these stocks. And I'll go through it step by step with you why Aduro is a fugazi stock and how you can spot it in less than 30 seconds. Now, I have to give you a little bit of a disclaimer, I should say, is that actually, Aduro contacted me maybe about 5 years ago, okay? Well, actually, I shouldn't say Aduro, but it was, a stock promoter in Scamcouver, a.k.a. Vancouver, Canada, which is the capital of scams and frauds in Canada, pump and dumps. And this guy's, he's one of the usual suspects in Canada. He's, had, under many investigations, etc. And he wanted me to promote Aduro. And, I was looking at this, I said, this thing it's kind of a piece of shit. These clean tech companies, I've seen these for decades. There's always some guy comes out with, we're going to recycle tires into energy. It's all this alchemy stuff. It's always these science projects, which, they go through hundreds of millions of dollars, always a big story, and they get people sucked in. I think they attract, like, I don't know, it's like the low-hanging fruit is like these, these kind of environmentalists, and everybody wants to save the planet. Oh, I'm doing good, et cetera, et cetera. The reality is, look, the market doesn't care about your morals or all that stuff. The reality is business, okay? And these stocks, they have to have a real business. I kind of turned it away, and they offered me a lot of money. We're talking about six figures, all right? I didn't do it. Now, here's the thing. I only, yes, everything I do is paid stock promotion, right? And, but I only focus on stocks, which I believe could be 10 baggers. They have what it takes to be 10 baggers. They have to meet a list of 10 strict criteria. Now, here's the thing. In retrospect, look at this. Aduro actually went up more than 10x in the last 5 years, right? But here's the thing. This thing is basically on fumes. It's a massive pump and dump fugazi. Now, I'm not saying it's a fraud, okay? I'm not saying there's anything illegal or fraud. However, I do know for a fact that there is definitely stock promoters that have been paid off. There's been a lot of SEC violations. Now in Canada, I'll go into that later. But there's definitely a bunch of undisclosed stock promoters in the US, in Canada, pumping this thing on social media who are not disclosing that they've gotten paid or they have some sort of vested interest. They got cheap private placement shares or whatever it is. Maybe it's not under their name. Maybe it's under their relatives. These guys have a lot of cute ways to play this. I know for a fact, okay, I can tell you for a fact, there's been securities fraud committed on behalf of Aduro. Now, I'm not saying the Aduro people were involved. I'm just saying I know there's major, let's call it influencers on YouTube who have gotten paid to promote Aduro in over the past, and they did not disclose anything. And they're just talking to their audience. Oh, we're just trying to introduce you to. Okay, all right. Anyway, let's dive through my quick analysis using the 10 bagger blueprint and why this thing Aduro is an absolute piece of shit. Now, there's two things I look for right away. Okay, two things I look for right away which again I explain 10 bagger blueprint. You want the book? Link is in the bio below. Hang on a second. I got to put up the link. It's not on here right now. We're gonna put it up after the video. Actually, no. Let me do it right now. Why not? Hang on a second. Let me take a. By the way, the chart on Aduro. If you look at the charts, major bearish formation. We got a death cross right now in the 1 hour chart on the Canadian stock. We also have a death cross coming up on the US chart, the NASDAQ stock. And by the way, if you don't know how these charts work, get my book. I explain to you exactly what you look for. Stocks breaking below moving averages, all that stuff. Hang on a second. Let me pull this up. Let me just do this real quick. Hang on one moment. Yeah, so Aduro, if you, I'm gonna show you the charts in just a minute, but I can tell you the charts look absolutely ready to roll over. They are ready to collapse. Aduro is on the verge of a major collapse. Now, I'll tell you what the real problem with the stock is. I'll tell you the big elephant in the room that everybody's trying to ignore. Here's the problem with bag holders, okay? There's a lot of people in the stock, right? That, it becomes a cult. All these stocks. Again, I talk, guys. I'm doing this 30 plus years. I've created literally $1 trillion in wealth for investors. Okay, literally, I've had more 10 baggers. I've introduced investors like you to more 10 baggers than anybody else on the planet. I know I get a lot of haters. There's a lot of jealous haters out there, but it is what it is. Hang on a second. Let me just pull up this. So, number one thing you got to understand, 10 bagger blueprint. Again, I talk about this in the book. What is it about? It's about how stocks become 10 baggers. Okay. How do I know this? It's a blueprint. You understand? It's a blueprint. I have a system. Any company that follows my system becomes a 10 bagger. Our last 6 stocks we launched, on average, they double or triple on day one. $20 million in trading volume on day one. $20 million daily trading volume on the first day, and onwards and upwards. Now, let's take a look at why Aduro is a fugazi. Let me get my face out of this. So I want you to look at something, a real fast analysis. First thing you look at, this is what I look at. What's the market cap? How much am I paying for the whole thing? Price is everything, okay? I talk about it in the book. I have a chapter on valuation, okay? Price is everything, okay? What you pay for a stock determines your profit, okay? That's why I like to get into stocks which are trading at a deep discount to their comps. They're trading at a discount to cash on hand, to the peer group, etc. When you buy a stock like this, you're paying this is a $400 million valuation. Okay, excuse me, I'm sorry. It's $381 million valuation. $381 million valuation. That's what you got to look at it like Warren Buffett. What are you getting for your money? What you're getting for your money is a stock, is a company. Now let's look at the financials. Let's look at the financials. What do the financials have to say? I'm just going on Yahoo. You guys can see this for yourself. Anybody can see this with their own eyes. They have $200,000 in they have $200,000 in revenue. I mean, this is not even. Forget about it. There's no revenue. They're losing $14 million a year that we know of. It's probably more. It's probably accelerating. Okay, this is a company losing probably right now $20 million a year and accelerating. Okay. When you're paying $400 million, here's what if you're thinking of buying the stock today, or even if you hold the stock, here's what you got to understand. Would I be a buyer or seller of the stock right now? Meaning, how much am I paying? What's the upside? When you're paying $400 million for this company, what do you think? It's going to go to $1 billion valuation? You really think that this thing is going to double to $1 billion valuation? How is it going to support that? What do they need? How are they going to support that valuation? In order to support a $1 billion valuation, you have to have at least 50 million in revenues. If you're in the AI sector, that's aggressive. That's a 20 times multiple. Or 100 million. You got to have 50 to 100 million dollars in revenues and be in a hot sector to get that type of valuation. Okay, you have to have that. If you don't have it, you can't support it. The stock is going to collapse. I've seen this over and over again. Look at the scroll below. By the way, these are some of our 10 baggers today. All those stocks are basically zero because listen, when we get involved with the stock, when I get involved with the stock, I'm looking for stock which is in what I call a 10 bagger window. It's undervalued, it's cheap valuation. They have catalysts, they have something, they have a story, and potentially it could be a 10 bagger, potentially. And most of these stocks are what I call I'm gonna admit this right here. I'm gonna share something with you. Most of these companies are fake it till you make it. It's something I explain in the book. What is a fake it till you make it stock? I explain in the book. It's exactly what Aduro is. It's what 90% of the stocks on the Canadian Stock Exchange are, okay? And the Canadian Stock Exchange, and you got a crooked cop there whose name is Mark Faulkner. He's a low-life fraudster. We've uncovered a massive fraud. I mean, this guy's been caught red-handed committing fraud, major conflicts of interest. Their chairman is a scammer. This guy's been fined millions of dollars. Tom and Brendan Caldwell. Google this. We're going to be showing all this. We're going to be uncovering all this, okay? The chairman of the Canadian Stock Exchange, whatever they call themselves, major scammer. Now, again, I'm not, listen, all I'm saying is what's in the public record. What's in the public record? He's been fined millions of dollars by the Ontario Securities Commission, by the, I think the TSX, by the Securities and Exchange Commission, various violations. The worst one, the most egregious one that really bothers me is that basically the guy's stealing from his own investors. In other words, you know, he was fined a couple $1 million, which, by the way, in Canada, that's a lot of money, for essentially what this guy was doing is he's managing money, right? But instead of running the orders, putting the trades in to get best execution, where his clients get into the stock, you know, at the lowest commission or whatever, he's running the trades through his own brokerage firm, so he gets paid more money. Kind of like Bernie Madoff. He's basically like the Bernie Madoff of Canada. Now, I'm not saying he committed any fraud like, you know, Ponzi scheme, but the Ontario Securities Commission, okay, the Ontario Securities Commission, which, by the way, these guys are all corrupt. The Ontario Securities Commission, they're all corrupt. They're all in bed together. It's a crony capitalist system. You know, Canada's a third world country. These guys are all in bed together. So if they had to find this guy, you know, there's a lot more to this story, okay? You Google it. Google Tom Caldwell fraud or Tom Caldwell securities investigate. By the way, there's another Caldwell in the U.S. I don't think they're related, but it's the Caldwell in Canada, okay? He's the chairman. That's all you need to know. The chairman and his idiot son is now the director because I think they had to remove him. There was something going on. By the way, here's what you need to know. The Canadian Securities Exchange, I'm going to show you something here. Okay, they are being fined, they're being sued by their own in-house counsel. Okay, you know what that means? It means their own in-house lawyer, the guy who knows all the dirt, their own in-house legal guy, is suing them for basically accusing them of a cover-up of a fraud. He's accusing their in-house counsel, who's, you know, a lawyer with many years of experience, securities regulation. Jamie, what's his name? Jamie, you can Google it. It's all public records. He's basically suing them for essentially suing them that they fired him for because he didn't want to cover up a fraud that they were doing. Essentially, if you look at the lawsuit, it looks like the CEO of the Canadian Stock Exchange, this guy Richard Carlton, essentially committed securities fraud by covering up certain conflicts of interest. Him and this idiot moron, Mark Faulkner, who's one of the dumbest people on the planet. He's the head of regulations. Now, by the way, this guy has a major double standard. This is why I want to expose this stock. Let's see Mark Faulkner's double standards. Now, by the way, just so you know, before we get into it, the Canadian Securities Exchange, CSE, whatever you want to call it, worst performing exchange on the planet. Look at this. Down. Oh, actually, they improved this year. They're up a little bit because of, you know, natural resources. But in the last 5 years, they're down 75%. Their index is down 75% in the last 5 years. You know what that means? Basically, on average, most of their stocks go to zero. Most of their stocks are fake it till you make it companies. Some of them are outright frauds. Okay, some of them are outright frauds, and they ignore it. They turn the other eye. They're part, again, a lot of these guys are part of that Canadian establishment. That's Mark Faulkner, that's Carlton. They're all part of the same little crony group. And by the way, we have investigators that have been doing we uncovered a lot of very interesting things that will be coming out, including photos, which are very interesting, I think. I don't think the Caldwells want to see the photos. Yeah, anyway, this is the worst performing stock exchange on the planet. One of the reasons is this pervasive scammery and frauds, all the stuff that goes on, and that Mark Faulkner, the corrupt regulator, that this guy is basically ignoring willfully because a lot of his friends are involved. Literally, Mark Faulkner, Rob Cook, this guy Rob Theriot, whatever. Those are the regulators. Okay, they're basically all in bed with crooked stock promoters, guys like Greasy George Tsioulis, who's been fined, who was basically a fraudster that had 600 fake accounts promoting stocks. They got this guy, Chris Pigfucker Parry, who's another failed stock promoter, a rabid anti-Semite and a lowlife. These guys are all filing false complaints about us, and these guys are all in bed with Mark Faulkner, with Rob Cook, and this other scammer, what's his name, James Black, who's their in-house propagandist. He's their Joseph Goebbels of the CSC. This guy does a video live stream with some stock Bits, BITZ, the other day. with Kevin O'Leary, that other Canadian scammer. And we told you this stock is going straight down. This guy, basically James Black, their in-house propagandist, is another guy who's very jealous of us because he can't make his own stocks go up. James Black, he charges these companies money to promote their stocks, and they can't make them go up. Okay, listen, let's get to the point with Aduro, why this thing is a fugazi. Okay, let's get into this. You're paying $400 million value for this thing right now. Okay, they got zero revenue. Okay, Aduro, basically zero revenue. There is no upside. All the upside has been pulled forward. It's a concept I explain in the book. Okay, you got to get into these things at a cheap valuation. If you're paying $400 million for Aduro right now, there's no upside left. Okay, all the juice has been squeezed out. Okay, it's just like peak fintech after it became a 20 bagger. You should have gotten into it when we launched it at 75 cents. It went to $14. Okay. By the way, after the company, after we made it become a 10 bagger or more, obviously they don't need us anymore. It's okay. It's fine. Visibility Group. By the way, the same griftress, I'm not going to name her, but I'm going to just say Miss Piggy. Okay, little Miss Piggy, who is promoting Visibility Group, VSBY, which is a stock that we launched at, I don't know, 17 cents or 30 cents. It went up like 12x. It's right here, VSBGF, whatever it was a 10 bagger. And the CEO is a real moron, Jay Hutton, one of the dumbest guys, even by Canadian standards. After we made his stock become a 10 bagger, he raised millions of dollars. And by the way, our clients, these companies, as a result of our work, these companies have raised literally, I would say our clients, in just the Canadian ones, have raised over $1 billion. That's right. As a result, as a direct result. So, Mark Faulkner, if you're watching this, the toilet paper in your house that your wife wipes her ass with, okay, that toilet paper, it's all paid for with my work. Okay, if it wasn't for me promoting those stocks, which pay your salary, James Black's salaries, all your stuff, okay, you guys wouldn't be getting paid, because that trading volume is what translates into your paychecks. Okay, so when our clients, whether it was Visibility Group, Peak Fintech, Next Tech, I can go down the list. Okay, when we have hundreds of millions of shares trading, we have billions of dollars raised in Canada, I should be getting thanked. You should be thanking me. All right, and we're going to be exposing you. This guy needs to go to prison. We're talking about Mark Faulkner, the double standards of Mark Faulkner. Why is Mark Faulkner turning a blind eye to the over promotion being done by Aduro and other companies? We're going to be exposing them one by one. But first, let's talk about Aduro. Again, I'm not, by the way, just to be clear, I'm not saying that Aduro has committed any fraud that I know of. They may have, I don't know. They may have, I don't know. Hey, I'm just asking questions. Like Tucker Carlson says, I'm just asking questions. Okay. All I can tell you is this: this stock is a overpumped pig. It's a $400 million valuation. There is no upside left. It's all been squeezed out. Okay. All the promoters, everybody's already gotten out. How do you know? Look at the volume. There's no volume on this thing. You got a $400 million valuation, and you got in Canada, and the CSE, it's only traded 6,000 shares. What a disgrace. The CSE, what a joke that exchange is. I mean, they're trying to ban me. That's right. The CSE, Mark Faulkner and his band of crooks, which is, again, I mean, they're friends, they're best friends. Just, Mark Faulkner, his buddies, they're all best friends with these grifter promoters, including George Tsiolus, a fraudster, convicted fraudster. This guy's best friends with, the regulator of the Canadian exchange. That's all you got to know. This thing just stinks. It just stinks. It's like a dirty whorehouse. All the whores have diseases. That's what the CSE is. Some of them have AIDS. Some of them just have gonorrhea. Some have syphilis. I don't know which is the least worst. So I don't know which one Aduro is, which whore Aduro is. Let's look at the charts. Let's look at the charts. We're going to have a death cross on the stock here. Take a look at this. You have a death cross, which is where the moving average, the 50 crosses below the 200. That is very, very bearish. So we're already below the moving averages. This is the 1 hour chart. So this thing is about to collapse. Okay, this thing is on the verge on the precipice of collapse. You also have a head and shoulders top on this chart. It's very obvious. You got this head and shoulders top. You had this top at 1750. It was a pump. It was a pump that they did so that they could raise some money. And people are saying, oh, they raised it from these American investment banking for the best. Listen, they raised it from, the usual suspects. These guys, the underwriters who did the raise, they've done anybody who, anything with a pulse they'll take if they can make some money. It's not, believe me, it's not a testimonial, okay, by D. Burrell or whoever it is. There's no endorsement, okay? It's just rinse, wash, repeat. They're already out of this piece of shit. So here's what you got to know. So this is what we look at. Number one, valuation. This thing, the value has been pulled forward. You're getting to this with a guaranteed loss. Essentially, this is a concept I call, I have two concepts. I have something called the built-in profit, where you're buying a stock at a deep discount to valuation. And then you have the opposite, which is Aduro. Aduro is a built-in loss, a guaranteed built-in loss, okay? You buying this thing for $400 million, it's worth basically somewhere between 0 and 20 million on a good day. As a speculative play, it's worth about 20 million on the CSE. It's like a typical CSE Fugazi stock that you can go to 20 million valuation and that's it. By the way, something else I explain in my book, 10-bagger blueprint. I have a chapter, the 10-bagger window. Valuation. The valuation, by the way, is very, very important to get in below 100 million. See, I got a chapter called built-in profit or built-in loss. Let me just show you something here. Let me see. I forgot what I wrote already. Margin of safety, valuation sweet spot. I got a chapter. This is, by the way, page 96. Mark Faulkner. You're reading this now. They're a regulator, by the way. This guy Mark Faulkner. Can you imagine a guy who's a securities regulator allegedly, no law degree, unheard of. He basically, this guy's he's making up his own laws. He's breaking the laws. He's a complete fraudster. This guy should be in prison for 20 years. Okay, Mark Faulkner. Let's look at his background. His longest job, he's basically a motorcycle instructor in Humber College in Toronto. Humber College or Humboldt College, I don't know. Hamburg College, it's some bullshit college in it's not even a college, it's like some sort of school for retards. He's basically a motorcycle instructor. He's basically a failed motorcycle cop. This guy wanted to be a motorcycle. I know this type. He's like a hall monitor. You ever remember in school? Remember when you went to school and you had those kids who were the hall monitors? They always like snitching on other guys, and always they want to have they have an urge for power. They have that thing, but he's a coward. He's a coward. He's got no balls. Mark Faulkner, like all these scumbag Canadians, most of them, they got no balls. Okay, they're all like this George Solis, like this Chris Parry, all these guys, they all got no balls. Okay, they're all like little snitches. They're all filing little complaints. And this Mark Faulkner, he's got no balls to be a cop. He's a wannabe cop, but he's not got no balls. He doesn't want to take the danger of being a police officer, right? A motorcycle cop. He's a motorcycle instructor. He's a complete nut job. So he never took a stockbroker's license. I don't know what they have in Canada, Series 7. That's what we have in the US. He's got really no relevant background, no law degree, no MBA, I don't think he ever took the stockbroker's exam. He basically got started as a clerk at the Toronto Stock Exchange, and he brown-nosed his way up. That's right, he brown-nosed, licking ass on the web. I think he's just a good ass licker, okay? Because there's no way he's a really stupid guy. He's incredibly stupid. He committed a massive act of fraud, and he tried to cover it up, and he was caught red-handed. Okay, he tried to come up with a reason to ban me from promoting stock at their exchange, but it was so obvious. We've had, and then he's trying to cover it up with all his little scammer friends, and we're going to be going to the OSC, and this is going to get really nasty for these guys, really, really nasty for the CSE. Believe me. Okay, now here's what we got in the chapter. So Mark, if you're reading this, Mark Faulkner, you little pig fucker, you should read this chapter here. Page 96, valuation sweet spot. You want to get into these stocks below. So here's what I said. Microcap stocks have a sweet spot where they can increase quickly. This is usually in the sub 250 million range. Really, it's a sub 100 million. Why is that? Because once you get above 100 million, 200 million, you got a lot of scrutiny. You got to have the goods. You got to have the goods, or the short sellers will attack. These guys are lucky that there's not a lot of short sellers out there right now, because these guys don't have the goods. So when you have a $20 million valuation, it's a speculative stock, okay, blue sky, blah, blah, blah. When you get to 100 million, in order to sustain that valuation, you got to have revenues, you got to have a fundamental story. These guys, their entire story is a failed science project. And somebody's going to say, oh, but they have partnerships with, I don't know, Shell, whatever, XYZ company, this thing, partnership. Let me tell you something, okay? Every energy company, every big energy company, all these companies, any company with big money, they throw money at any of these little fugazi things because any environmental friendly stuff, the reason they do that is it's a cover-up, okay? It's a cover-up so that they can say, hey, we're being environmentally friendly, blah, blah, blah. It's just a paying off. They're just paying off like the environmentalists. That way they could say, hey, you know what? Yes, we dumped 100 million gallons in the ocean of oil. We dumped 100 million gallons of ocean. We killed 50 million birds. But you know what? We're trying to do the right thing by we're investing in the future with these 5 different green tech companies. It doesn't mean anything. It's not a validation. There is zero validation. Believe me, all this stuff is zero validation. Now, so 2 top things you got to look for. Number 1, the valuation. This thing is deeply, deeply overvalued. Okay. Number two, what you have is you got a collapsing stock chart. So I showed you the 1-hour chart. Hang on a second. Let me pull this up. As you can see, we got the head and shoulders top. Let's zoom out. Let's do the daily chart. There's your daily chart. It's on the verge of collapse. We're below the moving average. Now you got a level of support, which is right at $10 right here, right at $10. And by the way, look at the volume. Look at the selling volume. Massive dumping going on. There's some there's some suckers in the stock, okay? They're trying to prop this up. At some point, this is going to collapse, okay? Now, by the way, I got news for you, okay? You know what? I'm doing stock promotion for 30 years, okay? I've created $1 trillion in wealth. I know what makes stocks go up. I also know what makes them go down. Whenever I call out a stock for being a fugazi, you look at my Twitter, I've never been wrong. Never. 100% track record. Now, sometimes they tend to go up a little bit higher. Sometimes it happens a little bit. Sometimes. And then 6 months later, they basically collapsed to zero, okay? There was a stock I was trashing also on this. No, this is on the New York Exchange. I think it was called Versus. Let's pull that up. I think there was this guy, the pig fucker Parry was involved with this. Let's pull up a Verse. Allegedly, this is an AI stock. So Chris Parry, the Chris pig fucker Parry, he was promoting the stock all the way here. Look at this. Now, by the way, now this is going back a couple of years. Okay, let's pull up this chart. The guy's a failed promoter. I mean, he's no wonder this guy's a broke loser who's still renting at middle age. Look at this. So versus stock. Now back in I think it was June of 2023, we said this thing is a fugazi and it's a scam. It was right around here. April, May, it was sometime in 2023, 22, I think it was, no, 22, whatever it was. No, I'm sorry, excuse me. Let me correct. It was, I believe, July, whatever it is. I don't know. Okay. And guess what? It actually went up. It went up. These guys, Verse, by the way, is a complete fugazi pump and dump, which you look at my old videos. I told you guys that this was. And this company was spending millions a year on stock promotion, like $20 million a year on stock promotion. That's what this is. It was a professional pump and dump machine. And if you look now, they've done 1 million reverse splits. So in theory, this went up 5x. Okay, I was wrong. It went up a little bit. It was, again, they spent $20 million on promotion. Okay, if you spend $20 million over a couple months on promotion, you can make a stock go up. Now, is this piece of shit, Aduro, going to spend $20 million on promotion? That's their only hope. Let me tell you something. The only hope for Aduro is to spend $20 million on promotion because they got nothing. They got zero fundamentals. Okay, it's garbage. Okay, if it was so good, they would have had revenues. This thing has been a public company for how many years? 10 years. It's been a decade as a public company. It's been basically a money destruction machine where investors have been getting screwed. Okay, I'm sorry. I take that back. Actually, they've made a little bit of money. It's because it's somehow caught on, whatever. It's an outlier. It's an outlier. It happens. It happens. Okay. Now, what happened with Verse? So basically, Verse is down 99%. These numbers are not real. They did like a 50-to-1. They did a bunch of reverse splits. So in theory, this stock was $100, meaning it was like I think it went to $5. They did a 20. Basically, this is a reverse split, so this is not the real number. But basically, you would have lost 99% of your money if you hold Verse. Okay, Verse, you would have lost 99% of your money. And guess what? The same scammers, okay, the same Miss Piggy, okay, Miss Piggy, who's promoting Aduro, was promoting Verse right at the top. She buried a lot of people in Verse. She buried a lot of people in Miss Piggy. Okay, so right now the market cap of Verse is 34 million, so it's collapsed, which is still too much. It's still like 34 million too much, and the revenues last year were $100. Look at this. I mean, they're basically zero money. I mean, this thing is basically making zero money. Verse is making zero money, and they're trading at a 30. They're trading at a 30 million market cap. I mean, you can't make this shit up. But they're still spending millions and millions of dollars on promotion, and it's going. It's a fugazi. Okay, let's pull up. Okay, let's pull up ACT. That's the Canadian. That's the CSC stock. Okay, let's take a look at this piece of shit. So in Canada, they have a 500 million valuation. That's by Canadian dollars. This thing, by the way, look at this. You got right. The collapse is about to happen. By the way, let's take a look at the 1 hour charts. We got the death cross about to happen on Aduro. The 50 going below the 200. It's imminent. Now, it's running on fumes. This thing is literally running on fumes. It might have, they might try to prop it up, but it's all over, guys. It is all over for Aduro. This garbage is going to go to zero. There's no underlying level of support in Aduro. Okay. Let me show you how bad this is. The volume today is 7,000 shares. Aduro. Hold on a second. You mean to tell me that Aduro is a $500 million market cap in Canada on the CSC, on the Canada Scam Exchange? But they only have how many shares? 7,000 shares? What number did I say? Excuse me. 7,580 shares. That is the power of the Canadian Scam Exchange. That's all that traded. I mean, again, the Canadian Scam Exchange, Rob Cook, who's a grifter, who's a corrupt piece of garbage. Rob Cook from the Canadian Scam Exchange. He's a corrupt piece of garbage who's best friends with, again, convicted fraudster George Siolis. Again, there's so many conflicts. It's just such a incestuous den of snakes and vermin. That's what that is. It's like a cesspool. It's disgusting. It's just the connections with all these people, all the promoters, the regulators. It's all so incestuous. Listen, here's the thing: as long as you're their buddy, as long as you kiss their ass, it's good. Okay, as long as you pay off the right people at the CSC, okay, as long as you kiss the right asses at the CSC, you're okay. Okay, that's it, because it's Canada. It's the crony system. Okay, it's the Canadian crony capital. That's why Canada is a failed state. Why do you think their economy is collapsing? It's a third world status country. People are dying. People are dying because they can't get a doctor's appointment. They got the free healthcare. People are dying in the streets. They got crime out of control. it would be shocking. It would be funny. It would be funny if something terrible happens to one of these people, like Mark Faulkner or Parry, Tsiolus. They get, maybe they get, maybe there's a robbery gone bad. Something happens bad on the streets of Toronto or Vancouver. Why? Because the money that should be going towards the police and security is going towards paying scammers at the IROC, at the OSC, at the BCSC. these bureaucrats who are basically all corrupt and incompetent. And that's why you got a failing state there. All right, so how is it possible? You mean to tell me you got a 500 million market cap and the best that the CSE can do is 5,000 shares? Are you serious? Come on. But no, let's take a look. That's why, here's the numbers. The numbers don't lie. You know, the numbers don't lie. We know who says that, right? The numbers don't lie. And the Canadian exchange is down, the worst performing exchange of all time, down 75%. Oh, look at this. This year they're up because they got some, what do you call it? They got the resource stocks. They got the resource stocks. The resource, this is what saved them since July. This is what's basically saved them. But otherwise, they're down 75%. It's basically a bunch of drug dealers, okay? They're promoting, cannabis stocks, bullshit. They're trying to promote cocaine, legal. They're trying to basically trying to create legal, whatever, psychedelics, whatever it is. It's just a giant fugazi. Giant, massive fugazi. Let's take a look at their, let's take a look. This is their volume. Look at this, 1 million shares. That's the big day. A 3-cent stock. That's all they traded, 1 million shares. What a joke. I mean, what a joke. I mean, look at this. This is their stocks. These are 5-cent stocks. These are 5-cent stocks, and they can barely trade 1 million shares. Can you believe that? I mean, that's a joke. That is a joke. Their total volume today is how much? What's their volume today? Oh, look at this. Their listings are drying up. It's it's a very sad exchange. And they lie to companies. They tell companies, oh, this is the most efficient way to raise capital. No, it's not. If you want to raise $1 million on the CSE, it's going to cost you 50% because you got to pay the investment bankers at least 10%, at least, plus kickbacks under the table somewhere, consultants, etc. And then you're going to have to pay, you're going to have to spend at least $250,000, $300,000 on a promotion, in Germany or wherever. You have to spend, that's right, you're going to have to spend $250,000 in promotion just to prop up the exit liquidity. That's the deal. The investment bankers, they're going to make you spend money on propping up these stocks on the Canadian exchange after they raise money because they know they're going down. They know they're going to zero. I mean, this thing is a giant fugazi. Look at this. I mean, look at this. Value traded. The dollar value today, $19 million is a total. That's Canadian, by the way. It's like $10 million in value. That's like one of our stocks. It's like when we launch a new stock, whenever we launch a new stock, we get like $20 million on day one in trading volume, $20 million US. So one of my stocks does more than the entire Canadian exchange does. All their 700 companies do it in a whole day. Okay, there you go. That is Mark Faulkner, genius. That's Richard Carlton. That's all these cokeheads and pedophiles that they have working at the exchange, and the people involved. Yep. Look at these garbage stocks. Look at this Cult Food Science. Look at this piece of shit. By the way, this is another company we turned down. I turned down this stock, Cult Food Science. They wanted to hire me. I turned it away. They wanted to pay me 6 figures to promote this piece of garbage. When it was like maybe, I don't know, $1. It was $1. It's less than a penny today. It's less than a penny today. Okay, that's the chart. Oh, there we go. There was $1.50. Okay, they wanted to hire me when it was $1 in 2022. It was $1, $1.50, and they wanted to pay me 120 grand. Our usual fee. Actually, I think it was maybe more. And I said, you know what? I'm just not interested. This is like, I didn't even, I don't think I even returned their calls. They were angry at me because I said, this thing is a piece of shit, this fake meat company. You got all these fugazi pump and dump guys involved with this. But you know what? It's such an obvious fugazi. But, Mark Faulkner, the regulator at the sea, he's got a double standard. There's double standards because these guys must have played golf with the right people. They greased the right palms. And so there's a double standard at the CSC, and that's why the investors are getting raped. Canadian investors are getting raped by Mark Faulkner, who's the #1 rapist in Canada. I mean, Mark Faulkner and Richard Carleton and the Caldwell family, the crime family, they're basically Canada's biggest rapists. They're raping investors. And by the way, the Aduro chart is going to look exactly like Cult Food Science within a couple of years. You just watch. You want to be a bag holder? You do you. You do you, okay? You do you. You do you, this piece of shit. And again, all you got to know is just basic math. The basic math is these guys have, they got a $400 million market cap with 0 revenues, which is not sustainable, okay? It's not sustainable. And they're being promoted by Miss Piggy and a couple of, scammers, including some people very, I don't know. Mark Faulkner must be very stupid. This guy, I mean, what an embarrassment, this crooked motorcycle cop. By the way, we got a picture of him in our thumbnail. Look at that pig face, the Mark Faulkner. That's the guy, okay? That's the guy. No, he's got 0, you look him up on LinkedIn. You look up Mark Faulkner, CSC on LinkedIn. Look at his track record. Look at Rob Theriot. How do you pronounce it? It's a French name, Rob Theriot. That's the other guy. He's got his background. He was another scammer. The guy working at the CSC as a regulator, Rob Theriot, his background basically is as a phone scammer, as a cold caller selling mortgages. And I think he worked at like some bullshit like brokerage firm, which he basically got fired from because, I guess he wasn't a good salesman. He's basically not very smart, and which is why he's working at the CSC. He's got a nice, safe job. Listen, at the CSC, these people work there for decades, okay? They get a nice, safe job. All you got to do is, row the boat. You got to just fall in line at the CSC, okay? You got to cover up the crimes, and you'll be okay. If Jamie Anderson, who was their in-house regulator, he didn't want to row the boat. He didn't want to go ahead with covering up, conflicts of interest and various securities fraud that was going on. He wanted to expose it with the OSC, and that's why he got fired. But otherwise, if you want to have a nice, cushy, safe job, you can be at the CSC for decades. All you got to do is lick the ass of Richard Carleton, who's another incompetent, angry drunk, and the Carleton family. Okay, excuse me, the Caldwell crime family. Okay, look at pictures of these guys. It's total trash. The Caldwells. I mean, the guy looks like a cokehead, that Brendan, and we got a picture of that guy with a fucking hair. Guy looks like a cokehead. Now, I'm not saying he's a coke addict. I'm not saying he's a cokehead. Maybe he is. I don't know, but he sure looks like one. These guys. Who was the mayor? Who was the mayor of Toronto, or the governor? It was the crackhead. Who was the crackhead mayor of Toronto? Rob. All these guys, they're all named Rob. Have you noticed that? Because they're all robbing the public. They're all robbing the Canadian citizens. It's disgusting. Really disgusting. Anyway. All right, gentlemen, listen, what are we doing here? We're going to wrap up here. We're going to upload this later for you so you can do your due diligence. But yeah, Aduro is an absolute fugazi. Okay. We've never, ever, ever been wrong. Okay. Ever. I have 100% success rate when it comes to calling out these scam companies, whether it was Versus, which is down 99%, whether it was Cult Food Science, whether it's, what's that piece of shit, Bits, B-I-T-Z, that Kevin O'Leary is promoting. By the way, Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful, he killed 2 people with his boat. Do you know that? Yeah, him and his wife were driving their boat on the lake in Canada, and apparently, I don't know, they ran into another boat. 2 people ended up dead. An accident, lights weren't on supposedly. I don't know, was somebody drinking? I don't know, was somebody having a couple of drinks? I mean, this guy, he loves his wine. I don't know, did they do a breathalyzer on Mr. Wonderful? I don't know. I'm not saying anything. I just want to know the facts. Somebody needs to do some due diligence. Was the light not on in the other boat? I don't know. Maybe the guy wasn't paying attention. Maybe he had a couple of drinks. He wasn't paying attention. I don't know. That's what happens. 2 people ended up dead. And this guy is out there promoting stocks on the CSE. I hope, you know what? Listen, Mr. Wonderful, if you're watching, listen, I hope that Mark Faulkner and his buddies, Rob Cook, Rob Cook likes canoeing. You know, Rob Cook is a big canoe guy. You know, maybe Mr. Wonderful will maybe Rob Cook will be rowing his little canoe with Mark Faulkner, and his boyfriend there, and Mr. Wonderful is going to run them over, with, like, I don't know, 50-foot boat. I don't know, what does he got there? Yeah, maybe they'll get run over by Mr. One. That would be ironic. That would be ironic. That would be peak irony. So yeah, guys, bottom line, be very, very careful with these Canada scam stocks. This Aduro has got all the hallmarks. It's got all the hallmarks of a fugazi scam. It's become a cult with various influencers. I don't think by the way, there is a bunch of influencers who are not disclosing that they're getting paid to promote the stock. The SEC should be looking at these guys. The SEC should be taking a good look. You know, we disclose when we promote a stock. We disclose it. It's on our website. Look at the links. We got a link. Even in this video, we got a link that goes to our disclosure page. You can see how much we charge the companies. And that's not going on with Aduro. The SEC, you know what? By the way, Trump needs to really, like, shut down the CSE. By the way, you know, the Ontario Securities Commission wants to shut them down. They want to, or actually, they want to get rid of the management. They know the OSC, the government in Canada, the BCSE. They know, even no matter how corrupt and incompetent the OSC and the BCSE is, these low-life scumbags, and they've been exposed, especially the BCSE. It's a lawless, fraudulent organization. Even they want to get rid of Carlton and the management, because they know these people are raping Canadian investors. Canadians are losing billions of dollars. They're raping American investors. And Trump needs to do something about this. We got to basically, the SEC has to ban the exchange. They got to ban the CSE. We got to cut ties, because there's a double standard. They're scamming American investors, and they're ripping off American businesses. And these guys need to be brought to trial. Mark Faulkner needs to be hanged, frankly. I don't think jail is good enough for this guy. I think this guy needs to be hanged. I'm not exaggerating. I mean, because this, you know, what he's done with the crimes that this guy's committed and his buddies, these guys should all be hanging like from ropes. And yeah, inshallah. Okay. So yeah, so let's take a look at this here. Aduro, we're gonna let this piece of shit go. We'll follow up soon, but we're gonna keep an eye on this stock. We'll be doing follow-ups on this and other Canadian scam companies. Here's to your 100x, guys. Guys, if you want to make money with stocks, if you want to get rich with penny stocks, you got to get the book. Link below, 10-bagger blueprint. Okay, link below to get the book. And if you want to avoid getting ripped off, if you want to avoid getting ripped off by scam, fugazi, pump and dump stocks, and absolute shit codes like this piece of garbage, like Aduro, you got to get the book. 10-bagger blueprint exposes why Aduro is a piece of garbage. It's got all the hallmarks of a piece of garbage. Okay, it's got this bag holder following right now. So the psychology of the market is all, you know, you have a cult right now, which is soon going to fall apart. We saw this with PKK. We saw this with Nextech. We saw this with Visby. And by the way, I exposed, you look at my old videos on Visby. I told you guys that Visby was going to go to zero. And everybody said, oh, this guy's bitter. He's this, he's that. You know, because they can't handle the truth. They got cognitive dissonance. They can't handle reality. They got the Stockholm syndrome. Stockholm syndrome is what's going on with these investors. Too big. I'm going to leave it one last time. I'm just going to warn you right now. Big red flag. $400 million valuation in a shitty business with a track record of losing money. and they got zero revenues. All the upside has been pulled forward. They got no path. They got no runway to make 10 million in revenues. Zero. There's no runway. No runway. If there was some hope of, okay, maybe they can make 50 million. Okay, maybe you could say something. But there's nothing is going on. It's a failed science project. Failed science project. It's what I call a fake it till you make it. It's explained in this book. It's one of the types of penny stocks. There's 8 different types of penny stocks. Okay, I explain it right here. It's right here on page 11. No, I'll tell you right here. I'll show you right here. Where is it? Page 22. Page 22. The fake it till you make it. Mark Faulkner. Are you reading this? Read my book, Mark Faulkner. Page 22. The fake it till you make it. That describes 95% of the stocks on the CSE. Okay, prove me wrong. Mark Faulkner, prove me wrong. 95% of the stocks on your scam exchange, okay, that you willfully are turning a blind, that you have double standards for. You have double standards between your friends, your scam friends, and the guys who call out the truth. Okay, this guy's a scumbag, and we're going to be exposing them in the new year. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. More to come.